Hi. Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is so fun. I saw all your questions come through and I got 2 glasses of water because I was like, that's a lot.
We were like excited.
We've had so much more to say to you, and then we're just saying this is probably just gonna be a conversation. We're probably not even gonna get through the questions. There's
That's
just
awesome.
so much we want to say.
Okay. Mhm. So we're gonna do a little introduction first and then we'll get to it. Oh, you want me to start?
Yes.
So this week on Unhinged and Unplugged, we're excited to welcome romance author Ashley Manley. Ashley is a sucker for love stories that feature characters over 30 filled with raw emotions and just the right touch of spice. Her novel, Every Beautiful Mile, When Wildflowers Bloom, and Our Bees Forever and Back, and Now to Forever are proof that she believes every story deserves a happy ending. Welcome, Ashley, and thank you so much for joining the chaos over here.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This is so fun.
Great.
So excited. All right, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as an author? Yeah, so I think first I'm a mom and wife. So I'm a pretty normal 40-year-old woman who can't figure out technology.
Wow.
So yeah. So I was a school teacher. That's what I went to school for. And I did that for about 10 years. And then for the last 10 years, I've been a stay-at-home mom. And I homeschooled my kids for a big chunk of that year. In the last 2 years, both of my kids have gone to school. So this is actually right now, you are like 4 weeks into me being not a homeschool stay-at-home mom anymore.
Wow,
So
that's
it's been kind of wild. But so a few years ago, I've always been a reader in some capacity, and I've always loved writing. But it's since I after having kids, when I read, it was a lot of nonfiction. I just kind of felt like, if I had time to read, I needed to be fixing something that was wrong with me or my kids or whatever, how it
or
is.
like a self-help book.
Yeah, right. Or like learning why sourdough bread is taking over the world.
Not for what?
And so I was at a playground with some moms about 4 years ago, I guess it was now. And they were talking about reading. And I'm like, well, I like to read. I just learned how to balance my blood sugar. And they're like, "That's not what we're reading." I was like, oh, well, what are you reading? And so the first book I read that actually got me back like into reading fiction was Verity.
Oh,
It's like a gateway drug. Like before, I think the last fiction book I read before that, it had been a few years, was The Nightingale, right? So like we're at way opposite ends of the spectrum with these books. But anyway, I read Verity. I'm like, this is what y'all are out here talking about. Like I had no idea. So then it was just like I read a ton, right? I read a ton, and what I felt like, so months go by, and read all kinds of fiction books, but I felt like the only characters where there was any sort of spice, where there was any kind of adventure, where there was like any kind of like spark going on, everyone was young. And by young, I mean under 30.
and
They
in
were
college.
yeah, they're in college. I'm like, why are you figuring your life out? And I'm almost, I was 38 at the time, and I'm like, what? Get what's my password? And so at that time, I was teaching yoga very part time. And so one night, my husband and I are sitting in the living room, and I said, "Hey, I think I'm going to try to write a book." And he's like, "Okay, about yoga?" Well, I thought, no, I think about like a mom. I don't know. So, something like that's like I didn't really have a complete thought. That was the thought, right?
Right.
And he said, "Well, that sounds boring." And I'm like, "Oh, well, maybe that's why nobody's doing it, right? Like nobody's writing a main character over the age of 27 because we are really boring."
Yeah.
So Hey, I did not my husband knew and my kids knew I was writing, and nobody else. Like I made my family swear a blood oath we would never talk about this. This was, top secret. Well, I did this for months and months and months and months. I walked around with my laptop, and so then I finished this book, and It's now Every Beautiful Mile. But anyway, so I finished and I said to my husband, I said, I guess I finished this book I wrote. And he said, oh, okay, well, I want to read it. And I'm like, wait, what? Dude, I didn't think about this. And he said, well, how long is it? And I said, well, I don't know. This Word document here is like 250 pages. And he said, whoa, that's like a real book. I said, we got like 8 months of me walking around with this computer. What do you think? I have like a 2-page essay? So anyway, that's how it all kind of started. And then I'm indie. So that means I finance everything. I pay for my editors, I hire my cover artists, everything like that. But I didn't know I was going to be indie at the time. I didn't even know what indie was. I didn't even know what a publisher, I didn't know anything. Like I knew nothing. And so I looked into traditional publishing to see what that would look like. And it can be a very lengthy, difficult process. Like you're maybe a year to get an agent. And then if you get an agent, a year upon years on top of that for them to find someone who wants your book. And I'm nuts, right? I'm completely unhinged. I was not going to be able to stick with this thing that I just created for years, right? I would like lose steam and move on. And so that's when I decided to go indie. I didn't want to start sending this to people and having them tell me it wasn't good enough. That would sounded awful. And I just wanted to see what it could do. And so so that's how we came to the writing. And Every Beautiful Mile has done well. It's actually been turned into a screenplay, and so it's just so funny when I say that, and I'm like, that was on a laptop on a random Tuesday afternoon when I thought, what if I try this? So
And you did it yourself, and you figured it out. Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah.
Wow,
So
great.
that's where the whole little party started, and my path kind of veered off. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. I feel like that answered the next question.
Yeah.
You're so good, Stay. So who are your personal favorite authors to read?
So this is really hard for me because my reading is all over the place, and I love a book by someone and then the next one doesn't land the same,
Right.
I mentioned The Nightingale. I love that. I love Book Lovers by Emily Henry. I don't know if y'all are familiar with, I always get her name wrong. JT anyway, Perfect Strangers is one of her books I like. So I feel like I like some of the Akhtar series. I'm kind of like everywhere. I am. And I will, I don't talk publicly. I don't post on my Instagram about books I read because that's kind of weird. I don't know. I feel like it's weird for an author to be like, I didn't like this book, but I am kind of a DNF queen. If I will get 3 chapters in or one, I'm just
Damn.
And I have friends that are like, I started and I'm finishing, and I'm like, I'm 2 pages in, and they said Ghana 14 times. You know what I mean? And so it really depends too on my mood, and so I like a lot of authors. It just really depends. Yeah, so I don't. That's a bad answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's very good. You're just like us. It's amazing. All right. So for Edgar and Beth, Alyssa was like, you have to read this book right now. And I was in the middle of a series, and she's like, put it down and read this book. And when I tell you, I said to her, I'm June.
Yeah.
I'm June. I didn't even know I'm June. I didn't even know the book existed. I didn't know anything. My girlfriend, who were also book besties, she messaged me. She's like, I just read this book. You have to read it. So I read it. It was amazing. I cried. I read it in a day, and it just moved me. And I said, I cannot be the only one that read this book. So obviously I told Tessa, and then I sent it to people on Amazon. I said this to my friend Danielle. I said to my friend Leanna, I said, I'm just gonna gift it to you. You need to just read it. Because we're all moms, and if one is wanting to divorce our husbands, we're not. Oh my!
You know something that's funny, and I know you haven't even asked a question, and I'm just talking, so I am sorry. But
No, there's that.
so when I started writing Every Beautiful Mile, I wanted to write a book about a woman who was married, right? And like this was, I didn't know what this looked like. I mean, I didn't know anything about writing a book or how anything works, but that's what I had in my mind. And I wrote, several chapters, like a third of a book, and I'm like, wow, this is stupid, And so then I scrapped it all and I started over and I got that first story because it is very difficult to write a love story when the couple is married. Like it is a very
They're already
complicated.
established.
Yeah, they're established and it's like, where are the butterflies, right? And I hate, like, I love my husband and he's the best. I wouldn't be sitting on this, if it weren't for his support.
Right.
But I wrote Forever and Back very quickly. Like it just poured out of me. And when I sent it to my first editor, I was like, I'm like really, I have a small group of readers that get my books and like right away, right after my first draft. And then they get it and give me feedback before it goes to an editor. And they didn't have much feedback, right? And I'm like, oh, they don't know how to tell me how boring this is. That's what I was thinking. And so when I sent it to my editor and she's like, this, I said, I'm worried it's boring, because it's like about that monotony that even if you've never been June, even if you know June in camp to that extreme, right? Like if you're not making divorce declarations over podcasts and spaghetti, we know those days, right?
Right.
Like we
Oh, yeah.
know what it feels like to like look around and be like, this is the thing we wanted, and now here it is, and it's not it. Like I'm drowning in what I wanted. Help me, you guys. Now you're with it. And so anyway, yeah, and it was I think because it came so easy, that story, because it was so familiar to me. And when I say that, my husband's like, I mean, I don't play baseball. I'm like, well, you're not in my mind. Oh, yes. And so yeah, and it's kind of that story more than others because I am married and I was a stay-at-home mom. And it's a very vulnerable thing to put out there because there was a lot of me, not me so much in June, but my story and their story that you just kind of worry how it's going to be received. And so when I get probably for that book, the most messages from moms who are like, thank you for seeing me. And I'm just like, yeah, it's a really moving thing to be on this side and get those messages because a lot of times as moms, whether you work or you don't work or you're married, you feel very isolated, and it's like, is it worth the text? Like, who are you sending a message that's just like, God, this is boring, or God, I just want to do something. It's like you sound ungrateful and it's, I don't know. It's a very hard thing to put into words how it can feel. So I just feel grateful that for some people, that book did that. For others, I've been told June is insufferable. And I'm like, you must have a lot of good days as a mom.
And you have a good husband, and that's quite
And they're out playing baseball.
mom is the breastfeeding mom, and the gentle parenting mom.
Yeah.
And
The moms at the library. I mean, listen, library.
No.
I was a school teacher and I taught kindergarten for years and I thought when I had kids, I'm like, we're going to go to the library. And I remember going to the library the first time and these moms are like, I don't know if you're a mom listening and this is you, God bless you. But there were these, like, they're so happy to be seeing. And I'm like, like, so
Never did I have that feeling. Never.
Yeah. And you feel guilty. You feel guilty though, right? Like, I mean, it's when you're with moms who are like doing these things that you think you should be doing and they look so happy and inside you're like stabbing yourself.
We are literally just like, should we be feeling this way? Like,
Oh,
yes. Moms that we don't feel this, or we want to leave our kids home, or we're all out like, we're by tomorrow, like, I'm going out, like, we're going to or they have fun. Like, they're alone about that.
I've never left my kids before. I'm like, what?
Your kids, I know.
Never left them.
I have no remorse. No, zero.
Yeah.
You're like, you want to go to Vegas? Yep. See ya.
Yeah.
No, because
I do.
you need your time too. When I was
You
there
do.
my mom at the beginning, and I know I felt like a peasant. I felt like I was eating pastina every day, and my husband was swallowing his food, and I wasn't. And
Yeah, I know. And,
Right.
and then it's like the financial piece. My husband was always like, he was never, a miser with me, but I was just always like, I don't know. Don't you like, it's just like it's so many weird, it's like weird battles, I feel like.
Yeah.
And so that was I wanted to represent that in a way that was, a little funny, a little sexy, a
Right.
little, you have some emotions in there because life isn't always funny, but it isn't always sad either. And I think
Yeah.
when I'm writing, that's what I really try to bring to my stories. Like we can be sad and it can be funny and it can be hard and it can be sweet. And, it's kind of that.
When she said I buy my pants where I buy my groceries, I was like, Costco, yes.
Times if I looked in the buggy and there's a shirt and pepperonis, and I'm just like, I mean,
Saying it. Oh my God, bad out there. I won't. But you did a great job. You did a great job describing, I guess, how we all feel. Because I totally resonated with that.
100%.
A million.
Probably the one book I resonated with most.
Yeah.
I was like, holy.
And we
crap.
read a lot, but like you said, it is a lot about young love and these. I kind of feel I'm so attracted to so much. I don't know. We feel a little sometimes. I don't really feel creepy about it, but some people feel creepy when they read books with.
I'm thinking, why haven't I met them? Like, where did I go wrong?
Right. So I can go both ways. Here's where my issue kind of comes is when I'm reading and we have a flashback scene to when they're high school sweethearts. And
Right.
then it gets graphically intimate. And I'm like, you are close to my kid's age.
That's like about a little.
That's where, and so like you can have, did you read Older by Jennifer Hartman? Do you know this one?
No.
Okay. So anyway, she's young, but I didn't think she seemed so young, And so but I feel like a lot of times I'm reading these books with younger characters and it's just hard for me to relate to where they are in life. And sometimes I don't need to relate, right? Like if you're slaying a dragon, I don't know if I always need to relate to that. It's just
Right.
like, it's fun. You're slaying a dragon. All right. Oh, wow. And then look what happens when the dragons connect. All right. And so, like all of that, but just sometimes, like if every single book, I'm like, I don't have a chance of ever having fun. And what the frick?
I mean, literally. Yeah, we do. So how did you approach writing camp as both the source of June's frustration and somebody that readers can still empathize with?
Yeah, so that was, we had camp and we had read. And so I was kind of tap dancing a line there of what can we do with read that is we don't want to be fighting June. You want to be rooting for your girl here. And how could camp seem like everyone's husband? And that's kind of what I did. Actually, there's the scene where they're fighting in the bedroom when Camp calls Jungle Rules. I don't know if you remember that. So they're fighting in the bedroom. He calls Jungle Rules. They're like spitting back and forth things that they don't like about each other.
Yeah.
I actually put a question box on Instagram and asked, what is something your spouse does that drives you crazy? And some of those things were used in that scene because like I wanted when, as much as I wanted moms to be seen in June, I wanted them to be able to see their spouse in camp. Right. And so I just wanted him to seem very real. So yeah, I don't really even, I don't know if that answered the question.
Definitely.
I went on a campsite but yeah, it's like you could see his humanity, but then also the way he loved June, and
Yeah, he didn't see anything wrong with his life.
no, yeah, I mean, and it wasn't their like I feel like we think of when marriages fall apart, we think of the big things, right? We think of affairs, we think of things like that, but. Yeah, I have friends who have their marriages have ended, and it's the little things in the day to day that just kind of pile up and eat away at the relationship. And so that's what I wanted to touch on. It doesn't need to be, it didn't need to be him, doing whatever. It just like little things that he didn't know. And then I think, of all the times that that my husband irritates me, and it's I just don't say it, right?
Yeah,
Like I'm
I'm
like
looking
looking
at
at him, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, why?
I don't even get it.
Why is that cup still there? And
Mhm.
I feel like if I look at him long enough, the cup will move. And so that's who I wanted Cant to be. Not a bad guy, just
Yeah.
like kind of oblivious. If you don't
Yeah.
say anything's wrong, why would there be anything wrong?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And so my husband reads all of the books I write. And he hated June. He hated June. And like, I mean, every time he's like, Cat needs to get out of here and go hook up with Scotty. I mean, that was like what I wanted the whole time. And even when I'm like, oh, I'm working on Scotty's book, he's like, well, I hope Scotty's book is about Scotty finding a new best friend and then them rubbing it in June's face. And so honestly, when he gave me that feedback, he liked the book, but June drove him nuts. And I said to you, that explains so much about us, and so anyway,
Yeah, she did everything. That you would probably do if you right.
Yeah.
If you were annoyed at your husband, she did everything and said everything that we don't say.
Yeah, I feel like I do the same thing. I'll just look at him like, why did you walk past the pile of towels?
Yeah.
That's 46 times. You should know to bring them up. I shouldn't have to tell you.
Yeah. Before Can't Man, we really didn't know. No.
Yeah, purpose.
You didn't know that, man. All right. Okay, so we said we obviously love that you listen to the podcast. So how did you come up with that treat? And are you into podcasts yourself?
I'm not a podcast person. I'm not, and it's partially because I don't have a ton of time. Like I'm not, if I'm obviously not listening to a podcast when I'm writing. I only get about, like my window without kids is about 5 hours a day. And so I really have to everything has to fit into that, And so if I'm writing or if I'm working out, I'm listening to music. And then when I go for a walk, it's completely silent. And so I'm not an audiobook girl. I'm not a podcast listener like regularly, so my friends will send me a podcast and I'll listen to it. But, so the podcast, I needed June to be influenced in a way that we could see ourselves, right? Like in this modern day. But I didn't want to go the social media route because it kind of drives me nuts when I'm reading a book and then there's a lot of social media reference. Like I feel like I'm already annoyed with that, my regular life.
In real life.
So much. And so I felt like I have a lot of friends who listen to tons of podcasts. And when I was starting publishing, okay, there's an example. When I was starting out in publishing and writing, I listened to a lot of podcasts then. So when I need information, I'm going after it on a podcast. And so it felt like to me a very relatable way for her to get this information in her life. I think like so many people are listening to podcasts, wherever they're driving, wherever they go, whenever they're walking. So to me, it just seemed like something a lot of people would be able to connect to. And then I think of maybe not so much with like when I was listening to podcasts for publishing, but I would go through phases of listening to podcasts for health and wellness, and you get all this conflicting information, but you're trying to follow it all, right? And so I get it. Like I get it. And so that's kind of how that whole piece of the storyline came to be.
Okay, that's very interesting. I love podcasts. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
I don't.
Yeah. That's how it goes, right?
Somebody was like, you guys are funny. You should start your own show. We were like, all right, that sounds good.
But I definitely could relate to that because, you're getting information. The girl, whoever said it in the book, I don't remember, but she said, you're getting, or maybe it was Scotty. You're getting all your information from people that don't know your predicament. Like you're getting information from people that don't know you personally and you're taking it to heart and you're divorcing your husband. And I said, that is so true. Like she literally is taking it to heart and she doesn't know these people. They don't know her. And that was her whole basis was like over the podcast.
Well, and I feel like, so even if you're not a podcast listener to, right, you get on Instagram or whatever your platform of choice is, someone's telling you why you need a supplement. Someone's telling you why you need to parent your kids like this. Someone's telling you link here and you can make better hard-boiled eggs. And you're like, that is what is, no wonder I feel so crazy. I don't have this egg maker, and you just, Like, I just feel like constantly, anytime
Or
there's
no, read a meme. And the meme is like, I don't know, gets you right at the heart. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's what I
yeah, so
Right.
so I didn't want it to be social media. Podcast felt manageable, and like something that's still, even if you're not a podcast listener, it still kind of applies to other methods of getting that information.
Yeah, definitely.
We loved it.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that June might end up with Reed?
Wow. I always know the ends of my book when I start. I always know how they're going to end. That was never, no, I always wanted it to be a love story about a married couple.
Right.
And and so that's how it starts, right? Like I know she's ending up with him. What's the problem? And then how is he going to show up and do it? And then how is she going to be a pain in the ass and try to stop him? Like she didn't mean to, but June couldn't get out of her own way. She couldn't use she didn't talk. Like she had a lot to unpack there, right?
Yeah, I definitely thought she was going to end up. Thought something was happening with Reed. And then in the middle, in the book, as it goes, I like can't. So I'm like, I hope she didn't do anything to this man. Like, I like him. I don't know.
And Reed was the one that bought all her stuff.
At first, I did too.
Yeah.
And
I had some of my early readers were texting me and they said, is it like early, right? We're in the first 5-10 chapters. Hey, is it okay if I like camp?
Okay, Seth.
You're allowed to like camp. I'm like, you do whatever you want to do. I can't, you don't want to give away too much because especially with those first readers, like I need them to tell me like what doesn't make sense. And then,
right.
Yeah.
And I didn't dislike Reed either.
Yeah.
He was a good side.
Yeah, Reed didn't do anything wrong except for
anything
wrong
wrong.
and not even follow him to town.
He helped his boy camp.
Yeah, you said
He did. All right. The letter from Camp's mom. That was a plot. That was a plot twist. Was it equally? Was it emotional for you to write? Because it shocked. I cried right through it. Yeah, we were.
Oh, I don't. That's a scene that doesn't get talked about so much. I will say the number one scene, 2 scenes that always get brought up when I talk about this book are the shower and
okay,
and the graduation.
yes,
yeah. So yeah, I knew from the beginning Camp quit baseball. Like I always knew that happened. And so writing it, I'm the only scene in the book, I think it's the only one, maybe when she was talking about the miscarriage, but Lyra's graduation, every time I had to edit it, I mean, when you write a book, you read it 900 bajillion times, right? And so like at some point you're like, God, this is so boring. Why would anyone read this? And so it all kind of just blends together. But no, every single time I got to that graduation, I'm just like,
yeah,
and
no,
so,
totally.
yeah. So that letter, I think the first time, like when you're thinking of scenes like that, you get kind of emotional, but that one wasn't for me, at least while I was writing, because it was eclipsed by so many other big feelings in the book.
Right.
That one was kind of, I don't want to say a non-issue, but it wasn't one that had me blubbering. Which some of them do. There's always one per book, and that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
No, me either. I was happy that was what it was. And yeah.
Well, I felt like he needed something that he had already done, right? He needed so she could see like I'm an idiot,
Right.
It couldn't be him. Look, I picked up my cleats now, or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And it,
And a grand gesture.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have plans to release the books on audiobook?
So I do. June and Scotty's books are in production now. Right. Yeah. So the narrator actually who she's doing both books, she finished June's book and she sent me a message on Instagram and she said, I have been doing this for 4 years and I've never cried so much as I did recording this book. And so then, I'm like, yeah. So I'm excited. I haven't listened to an audiobook since like in in 2 years, maybe at least a year and a half. So I will listen. I'll get to listen to these. It's like I have to, approve it. So anyway, yeah. So I am excited, and yeah. So they're coming. They're coming. hopefully
Did
in the
you
next
get
couple
to
of
like choose who narrates it?
So a company called Podium bought the rights to 3 of my books. And so they keep me very involved in the process. They sent me a list of narrators. I got to listen to them read parts of the book. Yeah. And then here's the problem, like, since I don't know anything about narrators, like, so Amazon, like 6 months ago, maybe, because my books they're doing pretty good. They're like, listen, you qualify for AI narration. Like, and I'm like, okay, I don't listen to audiobooks. This sounds weird, but let me listen to this. Like, it's like not just the Kindle read that it's not just that one. It's like some other secret robots, in the sky. And so I'm like, okay, like, let me see, because people ask me about audio all the time. And it's, as an author, it's very expensive to produce an audiobook, and I'm too much of a child. I'd never be able to, like, it would be like I'd read a sentence and then I'd break down why I wrote that sentence. And so that'd be good, right? So I listen to these robots and I'm just like, okay, I mean, I guess we could try one of these and see if this does what people need it to do. I don't listen to audiobooks. What the hell do I care what this thing sounds like? So I choose one that I named Rhonda. And Rhonda the robot did not even last 24 hours because she forgot to, like, at this beginning of Every Beautiful Mile, if you haven't read it, Nell is the main character, and she's completely unhinged at a funeral and like ripping her dress off and jumping into the ocean. And I mean, Rhonda the robot read this like she's at a birthday party having the time of her life, and I'm like, stop. Yeah. So that was my 24. I mean, that was my experiment with it. So that got shot down. And then I was just kind of like, well, I'm just going to wait. And I don't know, maybe one day looking there is just going to wander into my house and be like, hey, do you have any books for me to read? And I'll be like, yeah, So anyway, so a few months ago, they got my books, and so they're working on it. They sent me samples. I picked the narrators, and now, I mean, I don't really know, but so it's exciting. Yeah, it is exciting. And I'm glad, like, I just, a few times a month I'm getting these messages. And so now at least I can be like, they're coming. So yeah, I love that. I'm so excited. Yeah.
Audiobooks. And do you tell the narrator, like, this is a scene where I guess they know, like, how they have to act? Or,
yeah. I mean, hopefully. I don't know how. Listen, I tried Rhonda the robot, for God's sake. Like, I don't know what is going on. I mean, I'm hoping it kind of translates on page like it does for a reader, right? But I haven't gotten any weird emails like, is this supposed to be funny? When it's not.
we did get in the picture.
Yeah. Yeah. So
You see that, like, June too.
yeah.
Many readers say that they saw themselves in June, us included. Did you expect that level of connection when you were writing it?
I hoped for it, but I didn't know. I didn't know you never know when you write something because you're so close to the story, right? You're blind. You're blind to what the mistakes are. You're blind to how that's why you have editors. And so, but even so, editors can only do so much. And then you're just like, I either wrote a book that did what I wanted to do or it didn't. The amount, the stories, like, people write me, tell me about their miscarriages, tell me about their marriage, tell me about their kids going off to college. I'm just like, I don't feel qualified to be getting, into this, but I mean, it's so touching. I did not see it coming. One girl reached out to me just a few weeks ago and said she recommended the book to her book club. They read it. Someone in the book club is a marriage counselor and now recommends it to all of her couples. I'm like, yeah, it's like I have chills talking about it. And so I told my husband, and he's like, one person should not wield so much power. I'm like, I didn't mean to do this. I just wanted to see the moms, and it was really what I wanted to do. And so when someone tells me it happens, then I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. I agree with that. But that a marriage counselor should recommend it.
Yeah. What song would go best with this book?
Okay. So I have playlists for all my books, and there's a country song. I don't know if you guys like country music, but Eric sang. Okay, so Eric Church sings a song called, I think it's called People Break.
Okay.
And it's about a couple who breaks. You know, people break, people try, things happen, people cry. Those are the lyrics to the song. And I listened to that song a lot while I was writing it because, you know, I just feel like it's so true. It's so true for any marriages that last for 70 years, right? I mean, you just get to those days where you're like, I can't do this anymore. But you keep trying, and then sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. You know, sometimes you run out of steam. And so that one for me, every time I hear it now, I'm like, oh, it's June's song. And my husband's like, she's not real.
Actually, it's
Yeah.
How do you want readers to feel when they close the last page of that book?
I think since my readers are women, you know, majority of them are women. I just want them to feel seen and less alone. Where at whatever phase they're at in life, and you know, in their most of my readers are moms. They're not all though, and so I've had some that aren't moms reach out and say they look at their mom differently, and I'm just like, oh my God, you know. And so I think that's it. That's the most important thing for me.
Yeah. No, I like that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to Scotty.
Yeah.
So Scotty's edgy and morbid vibe really works with her story. How did you develop her character and her storyline?
Yeah. So my best friend has said if she could have any job, she wanted to own a crematorium. And I'm like, oh my God, you should do it. And she's not. She hasn't done it. She's not going to. But anyway, so when I was writing, I'm like, okay, what I wanted to write someone who was kind of like Beth Dutton, just less violent, less terrifying, you know? And so I thought of that piece of her character first. And I'm like, okay, we have June, this stay-at-home mom. What can her best friend be? So I'm not writing the same book, right? Because a lot of times stay-at-home moms are friends with stay-at-home moms, you know, just not, you know, you don't have like this combination. And so kind of that she started as just she was going to be unhinged and she was going to have a crematorium. That's how she started to me. And
Completely different from June.
yeah, completely different from June. But I also wanted to be able to show parallels in their story. You know, Scotty's journey to motherhood, it was very different than June. Scotty's journey, you know, to finding the man she's supposed to be with was very different, even though they started out in high school just the same, right? And so and then when I started writing Scotty, I'm thinking right now, I have a couple of side characters that were really fun for me to write, but I could write whatever I wanted to come out of Scotty's mouth and make it work. And that was just a joy. Like, I just like, man, I wish I could just tell off people this way. Which is not who I am. Like, Scotty is not who I am.
Yeah.
But I guess I am somewhere.
That's who you aspire to be.
Yeah, it is. It is. She is. I feel like I am June and want to be Scotty. That's really good. And so yeah, that's where she was born, kind of out of those like loose ideas. I knew I have not gone through addiction, but I have watched people close to me go through addiction. And so for me, I wanted to represent that story because I think a lot of times when we think of addiction, we think of the person who is addicted. We don't really think of what it's like to be someone in that person's orbit.
That's a question, actually.
Yeah. And so for me, just, you know, having lived through that, I wanted to see, could you tell a story? It always starts with a question like, can I tell a story about a stay-at-home mom? Can I tell a story like this? And so it's like, can I tell a story about someone who's unhinged, who owns a crematorium and who has dealt with addiction, in a capacity that it has impacted her, even though she is not an addict. And so that's kind of what it was for me, is showing that. And it's, again, it's different people coming out of the woodwork than for June, but it's people coming to me saying, my uncle was an addict, my dad, I saw this with my sibling, whoever. And so it's been, it's another way of seeing people. I feel like, that just, we don't always kind of see, we don't always think about. So
like I have my cousin who was one of my best friends growing up. He suffers from addiction, and like reading Scotty, I'm like, wow, I had all these questions too, because we grew up in the same circle. How did he go that way?
yeah.
And I went that way. Like, so her asking the questions in the AA meeting, I'm like, holy crap, this is great, because
Yeah. Because you want to know, right? And like, where was I? And why didn't I stop it from happening? Why?
And the family does suffer more. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I have heard stories. I can't even remember my connection to this person, but it's like their son was, in the throes of addiction and would come home and ask for money, and they wouldn't even let him in. They'd give him a sandwich through the window.
Yeah.
And you hear the story, and if you've never experienced it, you're like, wow, it's kind of heartless. But if you have, you're like, that sucks. But I get it. It is so hard. And I was at a book club where a group read this book, and the one girl was talking about her father-in-law suffered with addiction his whole life, and he had passed away. And she was saying how his daughters at the funeral were so angry. Why did he do all that? And she's like, well, I was trying to talk about the good things, and I said, and that's the hardest part, is like, there's a good side, but you are so mad about the bad. Thing. And it's such a struggle. And so, yeah, so it was her trauma, and that she brought to the table. And anyway, yeah, so that's how she came to be in that storyline.
Okay. Well, that answered the next question.
I'm really good. I don't even have the questions in front of me. I just like,
you're on a roll.
I'm really efficient.
We knew this was gonna happen. Okay. How did you approach the dynamic between Scotty and Ren?
Yeah. So I think in one of the questions you sent me, I forget how what did you say, Scotty? What parallels did you see? Camp? What?
Oh, yeah. Ford protected Scotty the way Camp protected June. Was that intentional to create parallels across the series?
So I saw it more as Ford was to Scotty what Scotty was to Ren. And so, but I can see, when I read that question, I was like, oh, I can see that too, and so that was accidental, the parallels. But I think my male characters always want what's best for the females. Like, I don't know how to be like, have this toxic kind of male like side. I don't really know. I'd be like, why are you being this way? We're not doing this, And so for me, it's hard to write that. So there's always like, it's well intentioned. And so that parallel between Ford and Camp was not, there were parallels in the books, even though right now, I knew when I was writing, I was like, ooh, this reminds me of this scene in June's book, but I couldn't name a single one right now. So please don't ask me. But
They're both good guys.
Yeah. So that was it. And that, I guess those, that mirroring in whatever way was not intentional. But yeah. So I was just kind of like looking off into space and thinking, and I don't have more thoughts on that.
I feel like once Ford said he had a daughter, I was like, it's Ren. Like, in my head, I was like, oh my God, that's his daughter. But the plot twist that was shocking to us, which is the next question, was Ren and Mel.
Mm-hmm.
I never expected Mel's daughter to be the one that.
That was a big twist.
Yeah.
And when I read it, I'm like, how did I not catch that?
Yeah. So that one, I would say most people didn't see coming.
Yeah.
I did have a friend who, as she was reading it, she's like, "Oh my gosh, Ashley, is Ren Scotty's daughter that she didn't know about?" Like, this is an audio message, right? So then there's like this 10-second pause. She's like, "Wait a second. Scotty can't have a daughter she doesn't know about, you know?" It's really not.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So I think a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot. The Ren being Ford's daughter wasn't really a surprise to everyone. Some people were like, "Oh, okay," you know.
She had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, right. And so the Mel twist, most people didn't expect. The Blue twist, I would say it's just like a split bag. Some people thought Scotty got pregnant and had an abortion. Some people thought she yeah, that was the biggest one, is that they thought she had an abortion and she was just looking at Blue and his family like, "I wish I could have had this," you know, kind of thing.
Like Blue was a complete shock. And I didn't think she had an abortion, but I think when I was reading it, I just thought that maybe she had complications and maybe the baby passed away because they didn't think out how you didn't tell him. And then she said she couldn't have any more kids. So I'm like, well, maybe maybe the baby passed away and something happened during delivery. That's what I thought.
Yeah, so those were it's kind of fun. Those are fun parts to write, because even as morbid, you know, as like, you're just like, wow, it's pretty messed up, you know. But it's like, it's fun to write because then when my readers, especially my first readers, who they have my, you know, they're texting me, right? It's not like whatever in the universe where nobody knows me, but it's fun when they're like, "Wait, what? Mel? I didn't see this coming," you know. And so that, you know, I liked writing that scene. And my first editor actually at Scotty's directness, like, she comments in there, she's like, "I'm gonna need a minute to digest how this just got delivered." And then a little bit later, Mel says to her, like, "Your delivery needed work." And Scotty was like, "Okay," and, you know, and so then my editor's like, "Okay, fine. You dealt with, like, you addressed the fact that this was not handled well, you know." And so, like, I'm fine with it. So anyway, yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, Mel, it tied in perfectly. That was great. Like, to give Mel a little bit of backstory with her daughter and all that. Like, I feel like it came.
And you know what? I don't remember if when I started writing Scotty's book, I don't know if I knew from the beginning Mel was, I don't know if I knew about that connection. Like, when I started writing, I was just kind of like, "Oh, maybe I'll do this." So how it works, I don't know if y'all even care about this, but here's how it works. So I get to a point where I'm like, "Oh, Mel's going to be the mom, you know, of this kid, of this girl that dies." So I write it up until there, you know, and then I get to the part, I write that in, that this is the big, you know, thing. Then I have to go back and like change some of the dialogue so it hints to it. Because that's why, like, I don't always know, but I can't just drop that in there and you'd be like, "Oh, what?" You know, where did that come from?
Well, that's why it makes sense. And I'm telling myself, why didn't I get that? Like, I didn't even think about it, but there were things that you said, and that would be
like, why is Ford always checking on her? Why does he care? Why, you know, why do they have this connection? And so, yeah, that's just, those are really, really fun little things to do.
Yeah. And you have to really have like a good brain for that, I feel. You have to know like what you said. I wouldn't even be able to write. Like, you have to go back to what you wrote, and I don't think, you know, that's hard. Well, that's why you're an author and I'm not. All right. Well, that's the Archie's. Oh, me? Oh, me. Oh, Archie. Oh, Archie the dog. Okay. I couldn't even know how to ask this question. Like, so we really had to like. So Archie's dog seems to have a symbolic meaning and a mysterious presence. Was there a hidden meaning behind the dog, or was he just a fun element? So I literally had a hard time putting this into words. I had to put it into ChatGPT, and I'm like, somebody has to understand what I'm saying, because this dog definitely it meant something to someone, and I can't put it into words.
So I loved this. I did see, like, I didn't read every question. I opened your email with the questions. I'm like, "Oh boy, okay." And now I'm like sweating and I'm nervous. But I skimmed through them just to make sure you weren't going to be like, "Listen, we hate your book and this is some kind of weird intervention," right? And so, but I saw that one. I thought that Scotty just needed that. That's what I thought. I just thought she needed, like, here she is completely alone all the time. And I just thought she needed a dog. I thought, and also here, this is a complete side note. This is a personal story. I was writing her story and someone posted on Facebook that there was a Bernedoodle that needed to be rehomed because the child was having issues and started hitting it, but it was very well trained, all this stuff. And I've always wanted some kind of doodle dog. And so I convinced my husband that we need this animal. That dog was so unhinged. He's like, it ate like 12 chicken legs right off the stove and the bone while I went to the bathroom. Like I peed and I came out and dinner was gone. And my husband's just like, what did you bring home? I'm like, I got dog fished. Like, this is a lie. I tried to like eat my daughter's friend in a parking lot. It drugged me across pavement and ripped my Lululemons. Like, I didn't care about the scab, but I'm like, these pants are $100, you know? So it was 6 days in hell with this dog. And this family was like, listen, if the dog doesn't work out, please tell us, because we can't just have him go to anyone. So 6 days in, this Cujo is like trying to kill me. I'm like, listen, I don't know if you gave me the same dog you were talking about on that Facebook group, because this dog is a lunatic. And he's like, well, you know what? We can't take him back. And I'm like, I'm going to get a divorce over this. Like, my husband is packing a suitcase. I can't keep this thing here. Anyway, we end up finding someone who like takes dogs, trains them, and then finds a new home. I didn't care. I'm like, I don't care if you eat this dog. Like, I can't adopt this animal here. So the dog, I was like in this like bad dog situation, and
Your
I
husband
was
was
writing.
telling you we have 73 days to get a divorce. We have 73 days to get rid of this.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, so that Molly, Archie's dog is Molly. Anyway, yeah. So the dog was kind of like born out of my PTSD.
All right. I love that. Not out of
Yeah. There's no,
idea.
no, there was no symbolism. It was just like, I was just like, you know what? I think Scotty might need something annoying for her.
And that was Archie's dog, right?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
dog
It
was
was
just
yeah.
roaming. And
Yeah,
it was
knew
Archie.
that was.
I was like, that's her.
Yeah, yeah.
It's working.
Yeah.
I kind of figured that out, but the dog was just a roamer.
Okay, go back to Blue's adoption story. I resonated that because I'm actually adopted. So I was like, I love this whole part of the story. Was that a surprise, or like for you while you were writing it, was that something you always knew?
Yeah, so I always knew that I always knew she was pregnant when Ford left. And I always knew that full Blue storyline. And part of it is, I wanted to show like we make choices when we're young, that we just make choices. We're all humans, and we're humans first. We're humans before we're parents. We're humans before we're spouses. We're people. And you can't learn to be better without the choices you make in the past, and all that. And so I wanted to show that even though she's rough around the edges, right? She comes from a bad house. She has all this, baggage she's carrying with her, but she can make choices she made that choice out of a good place, right? So that's, I wanted that storyline to show her good side. Like, I wanted to show how good she was, even if she's telling people to,
Yeah, she cared about where he went.
Yeah, she cared.
And I loved at the end that they like all came together.
Yeah.
And that the parents that she gave him to, were so welcoming to her and wanted her to see him, and thought that was very nice. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Now to forever delves into second chances, loss, and confronting roots. Which theme was most compelling to explore?
I think it was where she came from. I think that was because here she has this mom, and I get a lot of comments about Glory. Glory was very special. And, I just think writing that and having someone who comes from such a hard place and still turn out good, even if, she owns like, she's not typical. She's not she's just not a typical person. And so, but to show you can come from somewhere that isn't great and your past can be less than ideal, but you can still have a good life. Like that was the bigger message about all this. Like, no matter, it doesn't matter what happened before. It does matter what happened before today, but it doesn't have to define what comes next. And that was the biggest thing. Like, she thought because of all that she was defined, and she's not. We get to reinvent ourselves. It takes work, but we have that choice.
I love that. You went the right direction. I feel like we touched on this twice. What song will go with this book?
Okay. So, Luke Dick, he's not very well known, but he's more well known as a songwriter. He sings a song called Polyester, and Miranda Lambert might have done a cover of it, or she's in it with him. I can't remember, but it is about someone who came from the trailer park. And they came out of the trailer park and they made money, and they got whatever. They went on and like did something with their life, but they still, and like he looks in his backyard and sees his kids swinging, and he notes how different it is from his own childhood. But that was one that is on Scotty's playlist. Another one that is one I listen to on repeat because I'm just like, here's Scotty, it's like coming out of that trailer. So
Okay, I love that. Okay, so this one's about Ren too. So Ren's arrival forces Scotty to stay connected to Ledger instead of leaving. Was that symbolic or more of a responsibility?
I think Ren had a lot of roles. She was teaching Scotty to be a mom, even though neither of them knew that, right? Ren wasn't looking for a mom, like at least she not knowingly, but she found one in Scotty. And Ren was like looking at a version of Scotty in the past, maybe how if Scotty wouldn't have came in, Ren might have gone down the wrong path, right? And Scotty was at a point where, however many years ago, that could have been her, and Scotty Ren was cutting herself and Ren was dressing in black, and Scotty didn't do any of that, but she also tells people what they think. She was mean sometimes when it was unnecessary just to protect herself. And so Ren's purpose was to be a mirror for Scotty because she wanted Ren to have a better life, but she didn't think the same for her. Right. And so she's giving Ren advice she really needed to be taking the whole time. And it's not until the end where she's like, okay,
Yeah.
I see what I've done here,
Right. I love this book too. So much. So how do you want readers to feel when they close the last page of this one?
Oh, well, happy. I want everyone to always be happy. I want them to feel like, just hope-filled that life is hard and it's good. Like, I think I said that earlier, but I think sometimes we're in the throes of the hard parts or we start dwelling on choices we made. We just forget about tomorrow, and we just forget we can try again, or we can do something different. I think we just get so stuck on a choice or choices we've made or a path we started on that sometimes we forget.
Yeah, I think that I think she felt that she had to like uphold the role that was given to her.
Yeah.
Like the brute, whatever you want to describe her as, whatever she was, bitchy, whatever.
Yeah.
Dark. Like, I just feel like she didn't even want to show people another side because that was like her. I feel like that's her armor, maybe. Like,
she was born with a name. The name belonged to a lot of not great people, and she lost her brother. She lost her dad. Her mom, Glory. And so I just felt like she just was like, this is who I am.
Yeah, she like ran with it.
She just accepted it. She was resigned to her fate of being alone, being either in a desert or in a crematorium. I will say one thing that I never, I didn't really address this, but the people she gave, the people she hired at the crematorium were people that weren't so different than her and her, her brother, really,
Yeah.
and so, I I didn't want to be like, Scotty, you hire these, whoever, I didn't want it to be so on the nose, but, she was a good person, but she fought it almost, right?
Yeah. And she saw the good in these people that
Yes.
maybe wouldn't, that someone else wouldn't have saw the good in her. So you see, she has a heart and she cares, and I like the people she hired. I like those.
Wanda and Dondi, I mean, come on.
I'm rooting for them. What was the most emotional scene? Is that ours? Yeah, between both. Oh, it's between both.
Yeah, like what? So there's
Yeah.
always a scene I cry. I
Yeah.
told you that.
The graduation.
The graduation was for June's, and for this one, it was her telling Ford about Blue was like a little emotional for me. But that Thanksgiving, I mean, I was Waterworks Central at I'm just well, I'm writing it, but I'm still reading it on this. I'm like, down here. It's like I knew I was
It was like an Oprah moment.
still surprised.
Loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
I love it.
Loved it.
So, who would your dream cast be for a TV adaptation?
So this is so hard because I'm like so old and out of touch. I don't know. For Scotty's book, you mean? Is it or either of them?
Either of them.
I mean, I got nothing here. I'm not going to be able to tell you a single thing. Someone has said before they could see Rachel McAdams playing June.
Oh, I see that.
And so, who's the guy? I don't know why I always forget this. In Sweet Home Alabama, the guy,
Her ex-husband.
yeah,
A guy. I don't know, but
he to me at that age, I mean, now he's what, 20 years older, but at that
Yeah.
age, he had camp vibes to me.
Yeah,
I could see
yeah.
him as camp, whatever his name is.
that's a good one.
Scotty, I don't know. I don't know who could be Scotty, but I imagine her looking like there was this show. There was this TV show where a girl came out of a bag in New York City and was covered in tattoos. Do you know this show? Blinds? No, it's not called Blind. It doesn't matter. Anyway, I imagine her kind of looking like it's. See, I'm horrible. I hate this question. Like I think that I'm so bad at it. Everyone, I'm like, years ago, like that's
How we are too. We're like,
Yeah.
we figure out who's who, and it's like we're naming people that like either
Or
are AI generated
higher
from the past.
Yeah, it's like I also think this song could play that person, and I'm like, I don't think that's a really true.
Yeah, I know. I'm very hands-on. Like I love this.
I love Reminders of Him by
Yes.
Colleen Hoover. That's what got me on the map to read, back to reading. And the Ledger, who I love, I'm like, this is the guy in Burlesque. Who is the movie? Oh, that movie twice in my life. And that guy didn't even have like that big of a role in that movie, but he totally reminds me of Ledger. That man.
That's really funny. Yeah, I'm worthless. I mean, I know
even watches Burlesque. Like,
no, I don't know, but I never have this answer. People are just like, who would you see? I'm like, who would you see? Like,
I know.
we can't do that either when we talk.
Listen, we Elle Kennedy, we're big fans of hers, and her book is being adapted into an Amazon series, and the dad that's heated in that book is freaking the Reba guy, the guy in Reba. What's his name? I don't even know his name. The guy in Reba. Do you watch that show? Reba?
I know the show, but I don't know
The
the.
son-in-law, like the son-in-law. Oh, what's his name? The dad. He's gonna be Eric Graham's dad. Yeah, he's
We don't know. We're just a bunch of what's his name for like.
But to me, I'm like, oh my God, like I grew up with that man.
Yeah.
Now he's gonna be the father in this book that they hate dad. Oh my God, I just feel horrible. But
And someone the other night at a book club said I could see can't be who's that guy from Field of Dreams? I'm like,
Kevin Costner.
yeah,
Well, bang.
oh, and he's like, no, but like when he did Field of Dreams, I'm like, how old are we? But how old are we?
Right, but you need to envision something.
I
You know,
you.
I believe that I'm gonna be 40 right.
Yeah, I agree. No, listen, it happened. It happened to me this year. It happened to me. I've survived. I'm
still
stumped
3
with
months in. 21. I'm still 21. I don't care what anybody
I know.
That's right. No, okay.
Funny, funny. Alright. This is like all the quick questions. You want to do it?
You're cropping a line while writing.
Okay, so I write in the morning. I write in the morning, so it's coffee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite book boyfriend that's not from one of your books.
So this is hard because I don't even remember the books I've read. I don't.
think how long.
And I'm like, well, I saw that question. I'm like, I should probably like. So I stopped when I started writing. I stopped using Goodreads because it's not healthy for an author to go on there. Even if I have even if I see 9,000, I don't have that many reviews. But if I see that many 5-star reviews, and then I'm like, what is this 1 star? And it's like that's the one I have to click on it, right? It's like I can't. It's just like this. Or I just can't go on there. Anyway, so I was thinking, though, when I saw that question, I should go look and see what books I've read so I can know the answer to this. I don't know what books I've read. I don't know anyone's name. No, I got nothing. Yeah, so I know.
I have notes. That's how I know. That's how I remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I need to put a chalkboard up or
Yeah.
something.
It's not even a review. Like my notes are not even a review. It's just for me to explain to somebody why I like this book. I gave it 5 stars, and the guy was very cute, and his name was whatever.
Yeah.
And in 2 minutes, I lose all memory.
I will tell you. I will say if I like a book, I probably like the male character. I probably like him. I mean, I don't. So, I'm not gonna like a book if a girl ends up with an idiot. And so I think I just like them all. I don't know. I really don't know. I will say. I will say actually. Okay, so I brought up Verity. That guy I was so torn on at the end. Maybe I don't like them all. I didn't like because I didn't know if I liked him, but everyone else I like. So I don't know. I like everyone.
Casting. That is a great cast. That movie was casted very well.
That's really fun. I'm excited for that one.
That one. Yeah. Physical book or Kindle?
Kindle. I own one. Okay, so other than children's books, like for my kids, I own one fiction book. It's The Favorites. I haven't even read it yet. And someone gave it to me. And it's because I've heard it's like Daisy Jones and the Six. And that book was very stressful to me. I was like, okay, is this guy going to relapse? Is he going to cheat on his wife? What are we doing? It was so stressful. So a friend of mine gave me The Favorites. I haven't read it yet because I'm worried about being stressed out. And that is the only fiction book. I am a Kindle reader. I'm a Kindle.
So were we, but Alyssa has a one.
I do love that. Listen, I love how a bookshelf looks, but during COVID, my family and I traveled the country in a camper for almost 2 years.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, so it was wonderful, but you learn to do with less, right? Like you have this tiny space and 4 bodies, and I just started. I got a Kindle during that time. And that's,
Probably would have left my daughters on the side of the road.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been.
there were days, there were days.
Or I would have just left the camp.
Yeah.
Have fun, guys.
Yeah, the book situation. A Kindle is just more
Convenient.
and it comes everywhere with me. And then I just feel like I have to, if I love it, I need to just I need to have it all.
No.
And I need to help the authors make money.
Just if you could co-write with any author, who would it be?
Okay, so this is hard because there are a lot of authors I think would be cool to do this. I could go anywhere with this, but at the end of the day, I don't think anyone would want me as a writing partner because I'm a control freak. I don't think I would love to see for Kristen Hanna. I'd love to watch her write a book. I would love to see, Emily Henry write a dialogue scene. I would love to see a lot of authors. I'd like to see, Sarah J. Maas, how do you come up with that whole universe? How do you do that? But I don't know if us sitting down together and me being like, well, I have an idea, and her saying, I have an idea, and me being like, oh, God.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't know. I was really thinking. I mean, I was like trying to picture what does this look like to co-write with someone like Christina Loren. Do you know that there are two people? Do you know this?
Wow.
Yeah. So Christina Loren is two women. They're friends and they write these books. They're books together, like the Unhoneymooners. I've read a couple of them. I don't know which one I've read, but Love in Other Words, I don't know if we.
Oh, I did that.
Yes. So Christina Lauren, yeah, they're two women. And so I think they're best friends. And so I'm like, I read Love in Other Words first. Like I read it and then I found out, I found out, yeah, and I loved that book. But then I found out they were two people and I just like my mind, I'm like, how do they do that? Because if my friend sends me a chapter and I'm like, no, like,
It's really got to flow.
yeah. So that's that. I don't know. I want to watch authors write all day long. I just don't know if I'm cut from the cloth of being anyone's partner.
Yes. Yeah. What is one book you think everyone should read?
I mean, I tell everyone to read Verity.
Yeah.
I just do because I'm just like, it's such a wild ride. And
Did you read the new chapter at the end?
Where they see the woman and he drowns her?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's when I read that and I'm like, that's why I don't know. Do I like this guy? Right?
Well, I didn't like him before that. But then when you read that,
yeah.
you're like, then he was messed up. Maybe Verity wasn't messed up. Well,
Yeah, I know.
Oh, yeah. I'm a little confused.
And did you see Colleen Hoover has a new book coming out? Did you guys see this?
Yeah, just saw
and yeah, and it's a thriller too. So I'm like, wow, I mean, yeah, who knows what this is gonna be?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know yet.
What is always on your writing playlist?
So I would say so I make a different playlist for every book I'm writing. I don't just have like, oh, now I'm writing to this, but I would say every playlist has probably one Taylor Swift song. For June, it was I forget the name of it. Do It With a Broken Heart, yeah. So you can kind of feel it, right? She's like going crazy, but she's performing, whatever. I really like, I know he's controversial, but I like Zach Bryan. Like I like his I like his music. I like, there's this band called Camp, CAAMP. They have like a folksy sound. So it's kind of all over the place. There's usually one or two like classic rock songs that kind of go with it. Zeb had a lot of 90s albums, and so they were on my playlist, which made it fun. Yeah. So it's, I'm really feeling
Spotify. Can you make a Spotify playlist?
I have them all, and they're actually linked on the highlights of my profile, of my Instagram profile. They're all
I'm
over
horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, who goes to highlights anyway? I don't even know if anyone uses those things anymore. But it's for times like this where I can say,
I love that.
Okay.
His entire job is
Love Spotify.
Yeah.
Love Spotify playlist.
So we touched on this, but do you read reviews or ignore them?
Yeah. So at the beginning of each, like when I'm releasing a book, I have to, I'm giving this book away to free to hundreds of people. I think yeah. So like I have a Christmas novella coming out right now, or it's coming out at the end of October. On a personal email list, I think I sent it to, like, out of the people who subscribe to me directly, either through Instagram or on email, I sent it to 250 people. And, they're getting this book for free, but they're supposed to be reviewing it. And the only way I know if anyone's reviewing it is if I go to Goodreads and just I can just go and see. But if I see that average anywhere lower than 5 stars, I'm just like, it's like I'm possessed. Like I have to just be like, let me and so so at the very beginning I do. So now, and then are y'all on that NetGalley? Do you know? Yeah. Or do you know what it is?
No, what is that?
So NetGalley is a platform for ARC readers.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so you create an account there, and then big publishers are on there. There's indie authors, and then you have to apply for the book.
Yeah, I do that, but not on that. I just do it like if I'm in a part of a mail list or a newsletter or something.
Right.
and
Yeah. So
names for it, yeah.
NetGalley is a whole website dedicated to it.
Okay.
And so I found some great readers there, but they don't know me. Like
Right.
people who know me, I feel like they're like, we love her, so it's 5 stars. People who don't know me are like,
Right.
what does this bitch think she's writing? Like, and so they can be great. Like I've connected with great readers through NetGalley, but it reaches so many. Like I can get 1,000 early readers if I want to on that platform, but it's nerve-wracking. So my Christmas novella actually goes on NetGalley Wednesday, which I don't like. I just was filling out the form. I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Because every single review gets emailed to me, and I'm just not like it's. My husband's just like, don't read it. I'm like, are you crazy?
It's like,
Don't read it. It's
yeah,
in my inbox, and so then I started marking it as spam. But now I know to check my spam, right? Like I can't.
Well, it's there, so
Yes, like I don't have that kind of willpower. So a long answer to say, I don't like in the next 2 weeks, I will unfortunately be exposed to reviews about my next release. But then I start to forget. Then I move on to the next thing I'm working on. And honestly, with every book I released, I look at reviews less and less, and I care about them less and less too. So it's just you just gotta keep kind of powering.
keep rolling.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
Great help.
And last but not least, what is your most overused emoji? It's just a platform.
So it's the laugh face that has kind of like the squint eyes, not the tears, but the one that's like two like half triangles going out. You know that one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because so I'm like, okay, I'm not crying, but I am laughing really.
Mine is lately the drowning one. I don't even know if it's drowning. I don't know what it's doing.
Melting.
So do you melt because something's good or bad? Because my friend is on vacation right now and her son is sick and they had to go to like a prompt care situation, And so she texts me, she's like, he has to take, antibiotics twice a day for the whole time we're here. And then she sends the melt face. And I'm like, so is it cute or are we upset?
No,
Because
not cute.
see, okay, so melting is bad.
Having a hard time.
Oh, okay.
So like I'm taking it as I'm drowning. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm feeling.
So I thought it was like I'm swooning.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
it's more like aggravation.
It might be. I mean, we also thought the high five was prayer hands, and I
yeah.
them as prayer hands.
Yeah. No, and I do too. I do too.
Yeah.
And then the happy face, I use this one a lot too. That's just smiling, but it's upside down. That's like,
Oh, I thought it meant like that's bonkers.
yeah. Is that what it means?
Yeah.
Well, I use it in the sense that I'm just like not even looking. My kid is like, melt that. I don't know. I use it like that.
Yeah, so it's
Another
like
meltdown.
sarcastic.
Yeah, everything. But yeah, sarcastic. Yeah.
Dumpster
Everything
fire.
Basically,
Yeah,
my
okay,
emojis
yeah,
are all about melting down and sarcasm.
If I had to describe my word in one life, it would be dumpster fire. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I'm with you.
So I tell everybody, like, well, my friends that don't have kids, I'm like, don't do it.
I know. That's my husband. I'm like, don't say it in front of him.
Oh, we tell.
We tell them.
Yeah, we're so bad. It's so bad.
Well,
So bad.
thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you.
This
Lots of so much fun. This was great. Thank you for reading. I love seeing the books on the shelf. But on them.
Melissa actually pulls out all her favorite quotes.
Well, I'm trying. I was saying we were all here hanging out on Saturday night, and I was just like, let me.
She was literally having dinner and conversation, and she's in the book. Don't just for quote.
There's just so much material in this book but you wrote it, so I'm like, I have to tell her what she wrote.
You kind of do, though. You kind of do, because I've had people send me quotes. I'm like, wow, that's really insightful. And they're like, it's from page 50.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. But like, even when I read this out loud to my husband, well, first of all, today is best. I love that when you have to say what is today's best. So I love that. I think that's really great. And if I did that in my house, I don't know. Either they wouldn't have a best, or they'd be like, "Where's my mom?"
Yeah.
And then the one I read to my husband, I read him, and I said, "This is my husband." Oh yeah. Do you hear yourself? You've been playing softball tonight with grown men, not getting paid. And I said to my husband, that is you. Like he used to be on our softball team and we were like getting married. And I just remember I went to his softball game and I'm like, I just hope that that ball hits you in the eye and you have a black eye for these pictures because it doesn't make any sense that you think that that is smart, that that is a smart decision. So that thing right there, I read it to him. I'm like, this is you. This is you. And then we have kids with homework and bedtimes. We all don't get to float around living our best lives every damn day. Yep, yeah, I feel her. Like I feel her.
Mind you, during hockey season, we're at a game 3 of the 7 nights of the week without our kids and husbands. So we have no right to say anything.
It's fine though. That's your right as a woman and mother is to pick and choose how you feel your
Yeah.
lunch.
It's normal, right?
And I am not, I'm not remorseful about it.
No.
It's fine. You don't have to be.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much.
And
Appreciate it.
excited for the screenplay.
Yes, so we'll see what
one
happens. You know, it's very slow. It's a very slow process, but you know, I have the screenplay, like the front page printed out, and I just am like, oh,
Love that so much for you.
So,
Love that.
yeah.
Awesome.
Love
Well,
it. And
thank
then
you so
and the
much.
audio book.
Thank you.
Keep us posted with the audio book.
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Wow, what an amazing conversation with Ashley Manley. We love getting a sneak peek behind the curtain of her writing process.
Ashley, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your heart with our listeners. If you want to connect with Ashley and check out her books, we'll have all of her links in the show notes. So be sure to follow along and add her stories to your TBR pile.
And as always, thank you for tuning in to Unhinged and Unplugged. And don't forget to leave us a review and share this episode with your friends and read her book. Like these books were great. These books, I'm telling you, were great.
The greatest books I've ever read as a 40-year-old, 39.
And truly, I send them to my friends, like as gifts. I think that it will help them, their souls.
Read them. Amazing. Until next time, stay unhinged, stay unplugged, and keep turning those pages. See ya.